No, Gacha isn't dead, but the way people are consuming content has changed, and that's especially true a year on after the big release of Honkai Star Rail came out and really disrupted the scene in a big way. It's kind of ironic that there are so many gacha games for us to be playing in this day and age. In 2024, it really is the golden age of gacha. But why does it feel then that it's kind of quiet? Maybe it's just me and it's just the circles that I'm in, but I know there are a lot of content creators too who feel like people's interest in gacha overall seems like an all-time low. It's always the same thing: do the story, grind for your weapons, grind for your ascension, grind for your levels, and then grind for relics. It's all the same these days. But that's not how gacha has to be. It seems as though we're in this never-ending cycle with modern gacha games. And everyone just seems to be a little bit tired of consuming content around it. That's not to say that the games aren't doing well or they aren't performing well. I mean, the revenue charts make it clear that these games are raking in lots of money, tens of millions of dollars in fact. But it seems as though the way people consume content around gacha games is changing. I think we can agree, especially towards the beginning of the year, the community was more interested in drama than actually playing content about the game, and that's probably because there isn't actually a whole lot to really talk about when it comes to gameplay in these newer gacha games. So instead, people gravitated to something more entertaining, which was shit-talking each other on the daily, it feels like. And now people have become bored of that too, because it is the same Z-tier trash arguments made again and again. And we're even seeing content creators trying to force drama or arguments, debates or discussion, kind of just for the sake of it. I mean, let's be real, that whole MOC Zero Cycle stuff was the most forced argument I've ever seen in a long time. So I thought I'd give my 2 cents on all the current top gachas that I play and give my feelings around them. So let's talk about Wuthering Waves first. I know everyone seems to think that I hate this game, but I really don't. I really enjoy the gameplay of Wuthering Waves. It also lights up this feel-good areas of my brain when I see cool flashy animations and attack patterns. It's a visual eye candy for me. It feels such a shame though that the vast amount of the actual fun content in the game is temporary. Because of this, it creates a sort of content vacuum for the game, especially noticeable in 1.3. Regardless what you think about the story, whether it was your favourite ever or you thought it was mid, it feels as though there is a bit of a content drought in the game. Maybe this is just a me issue, but Wuthering Waves has definitely felt a lot slower in terms of progression than other gachas, especially for one that is really technically newly released. I feel the biggest contributing factor to this is the long, extended patch cycles, limited game modes that probably should be made permanent, but just refreshed over time, and a Tower of Adversity endgame that no one has nice things to say about or really wants to do. Not to mention a lack of a second unique 5-star on the 1.3 banner really has made the whole patch feel quite slow. Personally, I can only assume they're putting a lot of eggs into their 2.0 storyline, and I hope they're utilizing their time well. One thing Wuthering Waves does do really nicely is its visual storytelling. It's always the talk of the town when a new patch comes out. Again, whether you think the story is neither here nor there, visually it's very pretty to look at. It's definitely the best presented gacha game out of all of them. Now, let me talk about Genshin Impact for a second. I did the first half of the 5.0 quest and I'll be real, I could not bring myself to finish it. Even the free primos were not enough to convince me. The main offender to me was the introduction of the Pyro Archon. She's awful. Okay, hear me out. She looks amazing. Her character design is badass. But her personality is the most boring, friendly, friendship is magic type of shit. And it is not what I expected from the Pyro Archon. I expected someone who is a little more high energy, a bit hot-headed. I mean, this is the Archon that had to deal with war for so long. I expect them to be a little more rough around the edges than, you know, kind of like your typical Zhongli cardboard cutout type of personality that didn't really fit her look, style, or context. Maybe I have to keep playing to truly see the depth of her character, but right now, honestly, a good Archon really motivates me to enjoy the overall quest lines, and so far, I just really wasn't enjoying it. Natlan itself looks pretty good. I had a decent time exploring, but I hate having fun with traversal in this game is now locked behind a paywall. You almost need to pull some of the characters to have fun in this game. That or you gotta grab yourself a Pokemon every 5 minutes to have fun. I really wanted Cabinetz. He looked dope as hell and his grapple was sick. But I felt a sense of disappointment when you find out his grapple is far less useful outside of Natlan. It's almost like the devs don't want you to leave this area and you stop having fun when you do. I can't really comment on the endgame anymore because I kind of stopped caring. I do Spiral Abyss when I'm desperate for primo grinding, but apart from that, it's kind of the same as usual. Don't get me started on the new theater mode. It really is how many cool 5 stars do you have, and that's pretty much it, and I think we're all in agreement of this. Now let me talk about my favorite man game, Love in Deep Space. I'll be real, you guys know I really like this game. I'm invested into the story and the limited 5 stars they pump out. But I'll be real, I've also been having issues here too. It feels as though right now, Infold is just so focused on their monetizing and limited memory banners rather than give us updates that would make the overall game feel better for the player. And what do I mean by this? Maybe this is just me, but I am tired of the claw machine and the kiddie card game. I'm so over it. I actively hate doing it right now, to the point I stopped doing it for my weeklies. It would be much better if they introduced new modes, like some of the ones we've had from the recent events, and put them in rotation every few weeks, so at least we get something different to do for our weeklies. Along with that though, right now battling and fighting feels like an afterthought to the game. Abyssal chaos has essentially been abandoned. I no longer care about Tobias. I don't want to find him. Quite honestly, he can stay missing. This mode had the potential to be something really cool, but again, feels like an afterthought now. It's been so long and there are a lot of girlies who kind of like the battle system, so give them something fresh and new to work on. Hey, you make us pull for cool solar pairs and myths, yet we can't really utilize the cool characters we have for new fighting battle game modes. It seems kind of unfortunate. I know we're getting the branched main stories, but they really feel like a step down, both in presentation and writing, that Infold has already kind of been going along. Zenless Zone 0. I stopped playing because, quite honestly, the story kind of bored me. It was just kind of fine. I quite liked the gameplay, and I'll be honest, there's a lot of new content to get through since I left, so I am excited to pick it back up again and see if I was wrong, or maybe it's something I'll just drop completely forever. I hear the arcade mode is more fun than the actual game itself these days, and I don't think that's a huge compliment to the game, but I'll have to try it myself to see if this is true. I don't really have anything else I can honestly say, considering I don't really play the game, apart from the fact they've been making the most banging trailers out of any gacha game right now. Like, that Bernice trailer had people going crazy. And not to mention, the character animations are true peak. Some of the best 3D modeling and rigging I've seen in almost any game, I'll be quite honest. Now, let me get to Honkai Star Rail. I have been having the most fun playing Honkai Star Rail than any other gacha currently. 2.4 was great. 2.5 was a bit of a step down, but overall I felt engaged. The current gameplay feels really fun. I know that's probably down to me playing the meta right now, but I can't help but have a blast when I play. There's just so much for me to get through currently. I took an extended break from playing between 1.6 to 2.2, a whole 6 months, so I've had a lot to catch up on, and I've been having a really fun time. While the storytelling in Honkai isn't something I particularly enjoy half the time, the actual lore itself interests me the most out of any of these gachas. I really like how the recent patches answered some of my questions from the past Lawfu patches and helped me round off some of the old characters. Endgame is noticeably difficult right now though. This is coming from a very much a casual player who has played since the beginning of the game. I can totally see how if you grind this out every day and you have been since the start, it wouldn't be much of an issue. But I really feel Endgame right now is made for the meta, which is there a surprise there? And you'll have a far harder time coming close to finishing the content unless you either have insane relics, which is total RNG, or you have the right characters for the job. Honestly, because of this, I'd say Honkai Star Rail is probably one of the least free-to-play friendly gachas out there right now, purely because of the tuning of their endgame content towards the meta matters much more than other gacha games, at least from my casual player experience. But I've had so much fun in Honkai that I even made a fresh account, and right now I'm attempting my first Nuzlocke Honkai Star Rail run, where if a character dies, that's it, they're dead. Right now I'm gearing up to fight Cocolia. We've had 0 deaths so far, and things are going really well, and honestly, it's the most fun I've had streaming a gacha game in a long time. I gotta say though, the fact that content creators are having to find their own unique way of playing these games, rather than the games themselves providing new game modes and ways for us to actually enjoy their game, is kind of concerning, especially for a live service game, which requires a certain amount of our time every couple of weeks. I appreciate y'all listening to my rant about, my problems with most of these top gachas right now. I promise I'm really not a hater. This is simply me expressing some of the issues and reasons why I think it's a little bit slow for some of them recently. Overall, I still enjoy playing them casually, and there's no doubt there will be something that triggers the masses to be interested again. I really feel like the release of Honkai Star Rail a year ago really boosted the overall scene to insane levels. We had far more people coming in to play gachas for the first time, and now after a year, everyone is used to the cycle. And there really isn't anything that's disrupted the scene or brought in new players recently. Like, I don't think Wuthering Waves has managed that to bring in a whole new players. I think it converted a lot from one gacha to another, but I don't think it brought new people in. But maybe we'll see another gacha game that brings an influx of a new brand and, crop of people who are interested in consuming content and will stick along for the ride. But right now, I think most people in the gacha space who consume gacha content are kind of tired of the same thing over and over again right now. So, gacha is not dead. What is dead is the way that people consume content around it. The games themselves are fine and they'll continue to survive. And honestly, that's just fine. I appreciate y'all for listening to my rant. I'm live almost every single day on Twitch, 7 PM UK time, 2 PM EST. I'll see y'all on the next one. Cheers, losers. Peace.